Sobrang init dito sa Jensen. Okay, so ayan. First question, please read Hana Binuya. Nandyan ba si Hana?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so thank you.
This is an abnormal mental conditions whereby a person performs an act while sleeping. A. Somnambulism. B. Mesmerism. C. Somnolentia. D. Delirium.
Okay. So of course, alam na alam niyo to. This is an abnormal mental condition whereby a person performs an act while sleeping. So nagbabasketball ka, nagbabalibol, minsan kapag malapit ng board exam, feeling mo tumatayo ka tapos sumasagot ng mockboards, di ba? Kahit nakatulog naman yung katawan mo. Pero yung kaluluwa mo, gising na gising. Okay? You performs an act while sleeping. Okay? Ang problema doon, kapag ma-outbalance ka, no? Okay, nagkakaroon ng, it will cause you to death. Okay, so what is the abnormal condition or mental condition class whereby a person performs an act while sleeping? So what is your answer? Okay, lahat sumagot? Lahat, 13. Okay, of course, ang sagot natin dyan, class, that is letter A, somnambulism. Okay, yung mesmerism, na-mesmerize ka sa kagandahan niya, napatulala ka, di ba? Delirium, okay, nagdi-delirium. Yung tawag ito. So yan, mga ano lang yan siya, mga distractors class. But of course, ang sagot natin dyan, that is letter A, somnambulism. Okay, so that is sleepwalking na tinatawag natin class. Again, that is sleepwalking. Ibig sabihin, you performs any act while sleeping. That is an abnormal mental condition of a person. Okay, so I hope nakuha na yan. Then next question, pakibasa dito tayo. Nandito na sila, Che. Okay, how about Andrew? Okay, available ba si Andrew to read? Hindi. Okay. So, next tayo, si Ayen. Ayen?
Yes po, sir.
Sige, thank you. Sige, si Ayen. Makibasa?
A personality disorder characterized by an inability to form social relationships and can be classified as loners. Paranoid personality, B. Schizoid personality, C. Dependent personality, D. Borderline personality.
Okay. So, what is your answer, class? Sa comment section, please. So again, a personality disorder characterized by an inability to form social relationships and can be classified as loners. Yan. Sige, what is your answer? Titingnan ko pa, class, ng problema ako dito sa schedule ko for final coaching. Okay, for January kasi tingnan ninyo, fully booked siya. So, hindi ko alam kasi yung ibang review center gusto nila solohin ako. Hindi naman pwede yon. Kaya mamaya, i-message ko pa tong ibang mga review center na pwedeng i-cut imbis na 2 days or imbis na 4 days or 3 days, pwedeng 2 days para mapuntahan ko rin yung ibang review center. Kaya medyo problema, class, no pa. Pero of course, that is a blessing naman yan. Okay lang yan. Basta, importante kasi, pangit naman kasi kapag sa isang review center lang, konti lang yung matutulungan natin. So, that's why, you're very lucky na nandito kayo ngayon. So, binibigyan ko talaga kayo ng oras, class. Kung gugustuhin ko lang, di ba? Okay? So, lahat ng schedule ko, ibigay ko sa kanila. Pero of course, I am committed na, of course, makafocus sa inyo. Okay, how about others? What is your answer? answer, class? What is your answer? Dalawa lang sumasagot? Bakit dalawa lang sumasagot? Borderline personality. How about others? Sige, sagutin nyo lang, class. Kahit magkamali kayo, ang importante, you participated. Okay, so Stephen. Okay, ang sagot natin dyan, class, kapag ang personality disorder wherein there is an ability to form social relationships, ibig sabihin hindi niya kayang makikonnect sa tinatawag natin sa iba in the community. So, anong tawag natin dyan? Okay, ang tawag natin dyan, class, is the schizoid personality. That is a letter B. Very good, Giselle and Clench. Okay? So, ang tawag natin dyan, class, are schizoid personality. Mga loners yan sila, class. Gusto nila mapag-isa. Kumbaga, hirap na hirap sila na i-connect yung sarili nila or i-relate yung sarili nila sa iba, sa community. So, ang tawag natin dyan, schizoid personality. Kasi pag sinabi nating paranoid, class, paranoid personality, ibig sabihin, there's a suspicious, very maraming kahit wala namang ginagawa, 'di ba? Halimbawa, yung sa mag-asawa, okay, kahit wala namang ginagawa yung mister niya, yung babae, very suspicious siya. 'Di ba? Kumbaga, binibigyan niya ng meaning lahat ng galaw ng mister niya. So that is, meron kang paranoid personality, class. Very paranoid. Okay? So, akala mo kapag gumiti siya, baka, ay, gumiti. Baka may ibang babae to. So, agad-agad, no? So, paranoid personality yon. Okay, so but girls trust your instinct. Okay, sabi ni Nietzsche. Okay, so based on experience, di ba yan, Che? Based on experience. But of course, not to the extent na kung maging abnormal na yung niyo, class. Dapat lang, take it easy. Okay? Borderline, yung paranoid ang tao natin yung class. Okay, kumbaga ngumiti siya, baka may ibang babae na to, kung ngumiti yung sampalin mo na agad. Hindi naman pwede gano'n, di ba? So baka ngumiti na siya kasi nandiyan na yung bonus niya. Okay, so yan. Okay, next. We have the borderline personality. Ang borderline personality naman, class, they are impulsive or they are unpredictable, di ba? Okay, lalo na yung mga babae, no? Okay, joke na. Okay, they're impulsive and unpredictable. So meaning, di mo alam yung mood nila, di mo rin alam or di mo matansya yung approach mo sa kanila since they are impulsive and unpredictable. So ngayong umaga, iba yung mood niya or iba yung pinapakita niya, babait. Then pag dumating yung afternoon sa hapon, okay, nagiging mabangis. Okay, ang tawag natin dyan is borderline, okay, impulsive or unpredictable. Okay, so nakuha ninyo. So again, ang sagot natin dito, schizoid personality. Of course, ang dependent personality, they cannot control or they cannot stand with their own. Okay? Mood swing. So, di ba? Alam na alam ni Stephen, no? May mood swing. They are impulsive and unpredictable. So, ayan. Bakit parang babae palagi yung example, no? Okay. Wala tayong magagawa dyan. So, based on experience. So, based on experience daw, sabi ni Stephen. Anong ginagawa mo kapag hindi mo matansya? Kapag impulsive or unpredictable, merong mood swings. So, anong ginagawa ni Stephen? So, para makontrol mo yung baby mo. So, that is borderline personality. Okay. Kinikiss na lang. Wow, kinikiss na lang daw, sabi ni Che. O binibigyan mo ng kape. Tahimik na lang daw, sabi ni Stephen. Mas mabuti, no? Baka masampal kanya kung sabat ka ng sabat eh. Okay, next. After ni Ayen, okay, si Che na. Pakibasa. Che? Ito kasi maraming experience si Che eh. Recently lang, parang niloko ata to. Wala na, hindi naman. Joke lang.
Uy, wala naman.
Sige, sige.
In psychoanalytic theory, the unconscious wish for death is called animus, C, tantano, excuse me, D,
Lupus. Okay. Ayan, inubo na si Che. Bakit kaya? Yan pa ba yung side effect ng ano, nang iniwan ka? Ah, grabe, no?
Opo.
Yung side effects. Okay, so ayan. Please answer class sa comment section. Then explain natin. Bakit kasi iniiwan, no? Okay. So ayan, pag sinabi nating death, what is that? Pag sinabi nating life, what is that? Again, in psychoanalytic theory, the unconscious wish for death is called A, Eros, letter B, Animus, letter C, Thanatos, and letter D, Lupus. Yung mga bago class, tingnan nyo sa ano niyo sa Telegram niyo, nandoon na yung mga videos. Sundan niyo lang yung order, so from criminal law hanggang criminology. So ano yan, ubusin niyo. Pero ang tataas ng mga video na yun tag 2 hours or more than ano. So mas maganda, okay lang yung class for retention. One step at a time, di ba? Tapusin. Para madoble ang dinidiscuss ninyo sa inyo. Okay. Ang sagot natin class, kapag unconscious wish for death, okay, ibig sabihin, hindi mo or unconsciously, hinihiling mo na mamatay ka. Okay, that is unconscious death. Unconscious wish for death. Okay, that's why ang sagot natin dyan is, anong sagot natin dyan? That is letter C, Thanatos. Ano yung tawag natin na Eros class? Ano naman to si Eros? Sino si Eros? Please, kung sino si Eros. Okay, love. Okay, so, si Eros. Kung si Thanatos is death, sino si Eros? Love, Cupido. Okay, tama ba? Okay, Cupid ba? Love ba si Eros class? Saan yung iba? Okay, sabi ni Ayen, love or Cupido, Eros. Kasi Thanatos and Eros, depende. You wish for Eros, you wish for Thanatos. Ano yan? Okay, so sa life, okay, di ba sabihin? Okay, so I will check kung pwede natin i-connect si Love or Cupido sa Eros, but ang pagkakalam ko, pag sinabi nating Thanatos, that is the unconscious wish for death, or while ang Eros naman, that is there is a life. Okay, so that is Eros and Thanatos. That is letter C ang sagot natin. Okay, very good. Okay, next tayo. Okay, tandaan ninyo class, our height is generally determined by our father. Tandaan nyo ang height is generally determined by our father. So dapat kapag nag-asawa kayo plus kung gusto nyong matangkad yung maging anak ninyo, of course hanapin nyo, okay, sa babae, matangkad na lalaki, di ba? So while our mother determines our body shape, and emotional intelligence. Okay, so sa mama. Okay, children are more likely to inherit intelligence class from the mother. Tandaan nyo, hindi sa papa ha. Okay, mali yung sinasabi nila, or matalino siya kasi nagmana sa papa niya. Hindi ganon, okay? Kasi minsan yung papa niya judge, yung mama niya sa bahay lang or hindi nakapag-graduate. Okay, sinasabi na ay matalino yan kasi judge yung papa niya, yung nagmana sa papa niya. That is wrong, okay? Kasi children are more likely to inherit intelligence from the mother because the intelligence genes are located on the chromosome X, okay? On the chromosome X. So that's why it is considered as yung intelligence natin nanggaling yan sa mama class. One of the first studies in the area was conducted in 1984 at the University of Cambridge, followed by many others over the years. But of course, ano yan, so, tanda ninyo, 80% ng intelligence natin manggagaling sa mama natin. Then, kapag matalino yung mama nyo, of course, that is a ticket na 80% na matatransfer yan sa inyo. Then yung 20% na yan na gap or natitira, of course, i-fill in na yan ng papa ninyo class. So only 20% ang contribution ng father ninyo class when it comes to your intelligence. So again, saan natin namamana ang intelligence? Of course, namamana natin yan sa mama. Kasi again, ang intelligence genes are located on the chromosomes X. Okay, that's why of course, pinoportray yan ng babae class. Yes, mas matalino talaga class ang babae. Kaya madaming naiisip mga babae. Ang dami no, ang daming suspicious or suspicion. Maraming suspect Okay. So yung mga babae. Hindi class. So ang intelligence niyo magagaya. Kaya 'di ba, ina-advise na kapag nag-asawa ka, hindi ka daw titingin sa kung maganda siya, 'di ba? Ang titingnan niyo, 'di ba? Tingnan niyo kapag sa lalaki kahit hindi ka naman masyadong matalino, piliin mo yung babae na matalino or basta merong laman yung utak niya. Kahit hindi naman masyadong maganda or kasi again, yun yung magde-decide ng future ng anak mo. Okay, 'di ba? Kung matalino ba yung magiging anak ninyo. Okay, so yung kaysa naman 'di ba maganda siya tapos wala pa lang laman yung utak niya. Yun yung pinakasalan mo. So 20% lang naman yung i-contribute mo class. So hindi talaga yan mismatch. Okay, yung ninyo. Hindi siya mag-match class. So dapat okay. So dapat ang piliin talaga ninyo class yung matalino, hindi naman yung utak niya, 'di ba? Kasi yung kagapuhan, ikaw na yung bahala. Okay, 'di ba? No, yung tapos yung height. So pero ang sa intelligence class, sa mama talaga yan namamana. Okay, 'di ba? Ngayon lang daw nalaman ng iba ng sa inyo, ngayon nyo lang nalaman yan. So dapat 'di ba, sabi nila, mag-asawa ka kahit hindi maganda, basta matalino or may laman yung utak niya. Kasi doon magmamana yung anak ninyo. Kaya kabahan ka na kapag pinili mo yung matalino, kapag pinili mo yung maganda, tapos walang laman yung utak, problema yon ang anak ninyo. Medyo mahina yung niya, yung kanyang utak. So, kung 'di ba? So, ganoon. Pero of course, hindi naman lahat. But of course, that is based on science kasi that is based on study. Hindi naman natin pwedeng i-kontrahin yon. So, kaya kung titingnan niyo sa ibang bansa, basta kahit hindi maganda, basta gwapa. Tama yun. Okay? Kahit hindi maganda, basta gwapa. Bonus na lang yung maganda, tapos matalino, o di ba? Swerte ka na doon, di ba? But of course, class, dapat yun yung piliin niyo. Basta ang laman ng utak, very important kapag nagsisus ka ng magiging future wife mo. Or, of course, future wife. Para sa mga, future yan ang anak ninyo, di ba? So, sasabihin niya, ay, naman yung anak niya, bobo naman yung anak na. Ay, siguro yan, pinili kasi ng papa niya yung maganda eh. Okay, so, kaya, yun, yung, anong tawag natin doon? Hipon? Tama no? Hipon, tapon ulo. Ibig sabihin, maganda yung katawan, pero yung utak, sinisip-sip or walang natitira. Kaya, tapon ulo. So, yan. Ganun ba tandaan niyo ang intelligence natin sa mama, ang height natin sa father, ang body shape and emotional intelligence sa mama rin, na mamana. Okay? So, ang kagapuhan, okay, combination yan. Okay, so yan, class. Nakuha na? Nakuha na ninyo? May violent reaction ba kayo dito? Wala naman. Wala? Okay. Bakit walang sumasagot? Bakit naghahang kayo? Meron sila. Mga lalaki, meron ba? Wala daw. Wala na daw, Che. Wala na. Okay. Palaging tama daw ang mga babae. Sige, dito tayo. Okay, dito tayo class sa concept of victimology kasi very important yung subject na to or yung concept or ma-focus natin yung victimology na area rin. Okay, so dito tayo pag sinabi nating victimology class, nanggaling yan sa Latin word na victima. Again, tandaan niyo, ang victimology nanggaling yan sa Latin word na victima which translate into victim. Okay, again, victima which translate into victim. So the other Greek word, logos, which means a system of knowledge or logy or study, or the direction of something abstract, the direction of teaching, science, and a discipline. So basically class, pag titingnan natin, pag sinabi nating victimology, of course, nakafocus yan sa victim. So ang question ko ngayon, our criminal justice system, okay, yung PCGS natin, saan siya nakafocus? Okay, tandaan nyo, ang ating criminal justice system class, nakafocus siya ngayon sa tinatawag natin na criminal. Kasi si criminal is the main actor or the main character of our criminal justice system, while si victim naman class, okay, of course, si victim is the forgotten person in the CGS. While si victim naman, siya naman yung focus ng ating restorative justice system. Again, si victim naman ang focus ng ating restorative justice system. So ang pag-uusapan natin ngayon is the victimology. Of course, nakafocus tayo ngayon sa biktima. Okay, so si Benjamin Mendelssohn, okay, so actually Mendelssohn yung sa iba, Mendelssohn yung iba. Hindi ko alam kung ano talaga yung tama kasi ni-research ko yan, tama naman daw parehas. Okay, so kung ano lang yung isulat ng PRC doon class sa choices, so yun yung piliin niyo. So si Benjamin Mendelssohn or Mendelssohn first coined the term victimology in 1946 to propose a separate discipline from criminology that focused on victims' role in criminal behavior. So again, ang nag-coin ng term na victimology class, walang iba kundi si Benjamin Mendelssohn or Mendelssohn. Okay, kasi of course gusto niya mag-focus or mag-create ng separate discipline or study na nakafocus naman siya sa victims kasi palagi na lang ang focus ng mga study ay si criminal, which is the main actor or the main character in our criminal justice system. Palaging nakakalimutan si victim class. Okay? So yan ang tinatawag natin na victimology. Okay, pakibasa. Gusto ko marinig yung boses ni ni Dan. Saan si Dan? Dan? Nandan ba si Dan? Okay, how about Giselle? Si Giselle?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sige, pakibasa ulit.
Victimology came from the Latin word victima, which translates into victim. The other is the Greek word logos, which means a system of knowledge, the direction of something abstract, the direction of teaching, science, and Benjamin Mendelssohn first coined the term victimology in 1946 to propose a separate discipline from criminology, one that focused on the victim's role in criminal behavior.
Okay, very good. So thank you. So yan class, ang victimology. So of course, we have the victim. Kasi ang victim, of course, it is a person who suffers direct or threatened physically, emotionally, or financially harm as a result of the act of someone else, which is a crime. So of course, class, si victim ang subject natin dito. Sorry. Kasi again, siya yung nagsasuffer directly or siya yung nag-threaten, siya niya pumupunta class, yung tinatawag natin na violence or threats. Then we have the victimology, of course, that is the scientific study of the extent, tanda nyo, of the extent, nature, and causes of criminal victimization. Kung bakit, okay, so saan ang galing? Saan yung extent or ano yung nature ng criminal victimization, bakit naging biktima siya ng krimen. It's a consequence for the persons involved and the reactions thereto by society. In particular, the police and the criminal justice system as well as voluntary workers and professional helpers. Of course, kailangan natin class kasi palagi nating nakakalimutan na may mga rights rin ang mga biktima natin in a particular crime. So meaning, kailangan rin natin ng support ng police and our criminal justice system as well as yung mga government workers and health professionals natin class to give yung tinatawag natin na rights and attention rin sa tinatawag natin na victim. Kung titingnan ninyo kasi kapag 'di ba ang pinapangalagaan palagi ng Commission on Human Rights, 'di ba, yung tinatawag natin na accused, di ba? Kung that is reality, right? Then yung mga biktima hindi masyado. Kaya that's why nililabel sila as the forgotten person or the forgotten individual in our criminal justice system. So yan. Then let's focus next. Next tayo. Okay, in 1937, si Benjamin Mendelssohn Class publishes his writings on the rapist and his victims. Okay, rapist and his victims. In 1957 naman, si Marjorie Fry proposes yung victim compensation in the London Times. Ibig sabihin, lahat ng biktima class dapat bibigyan yan whatever the damages, whatever the result of the crime, dapat bayaran yung mga biktima. Kaya nagkaroon ng or nag-propose si Margaret Fry ng victim compensation. Of course, hanggang ngayon, ina-apply natin yan. Di ba? Kung titingnan ninyo, we have the different civil liability. Okay? Aside from criminal liability na makukulong siya, we have the civil liabilities class incurred by the offender. Of course, meron tayong indemnification, reparation, institution, and so much more. Kasi then, ng pinopose yan ni Marjorie Fry yung tinatawag natin na victim compensation. Then in 1958, si Marvin Wolfgang, okay, baka yan yung may-ari ng Wolfgang, no? Yung sa mga state, studies homicide victims. Okay, yung mga homicidal victims naman uses the term victim precipitation. Mamaya klase explain ko what is victim precipitation kasi very important yung mga term na to. Then in 1963, yung New Zealand naman enacts the first Criminal Compensation Act. Okay? Then in 1973 naman, the first International Symposium on Victimology was held in Jerusalem, Israel. Okay, so yan class yung mga backgrounds class when it comes sa tinatawag natin na victimology. Okay? So pakibasa nga ulit si after ni sino nga pabasahin natin? After ni Giselle, nandyan si Christopher Somoso. Christopher Somoso.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sige, pakibasa.
Uh, 1937, Benjamin Mendelssohn publishes his writings on the rapist and his victim. 1957, Marjorie Fry proposes victim compensation in the London Times. 1958, Marvin Wolfgang studies homicide victims, victim precipitation. 1963, New Zealand enacts the first Criminal Compensation Act. 1973, the first international symposium on victimology is held in Jerusalem, Israel.
So thank you. So yan class yung mga common or basic happenings or yung sa background natin in victimology. Okay, dito naman tayo. Okay, so we have the three distinct historical backgrounds or the victim's role ni Jerin and Moriarty in 1998. Medyo may ano ko sa R. Okay, so dito tayo class, tatlo lang yan. So we have the golden age, the dark age, and the re-emergence of the victim. Of course, class, this discussion was also discussed in correctional administration. Yung three distinct historical, nabubulin ako sa kape, historical eras or ages in defining the victim's role. Okay, of course, we have the Golden Age. Golden Age, it is existed prior to the written laws and established government tribal law prevailed. Okay, so there is a, of course, class, before tayo nagkaroon ng mga existing laws nowadays, meron tayong tinatawag dati ng tribal law practices. Ibig sabihin, kung saan ka man na-belong na tribes or group of person, so yun, every tribe or every group of person, meron silang sinusunod na batas. Okay? So that is during the Golden Age. So dito sa Golden Age, guys, victim played a direct role in determining punishment for the unlawful actions that the offender or that others committed against them or their property. Of course, sila mismo, tandaan nyo victim played a direct role in determining punishment for the unlawful actions of others that committed against them or their property. Ibig sabihin, sila mismo yung nagbibigay ng punishment kapag na lagay sila sa alanganin or naagrabyado sila when their rights is being hammered or yung tinatawag natin na violated. So they are the one who determines yung punishment for the unlawful actions class. Sila mismo. Unlike ngayon, of course, di ba, kailangan natin kahit nakita natin niya siya yung sumaksak or siya yung pumatay sa tao na yan. So, sa loved ones ninyo, kailangan muna natin ng, di ba, presumption of innocence. He is presumed innocent and then proven guilty by the court of law. So dati, of course, hindi natin yan pwedeng ma-apply kasi there is no definite laws na magsasabi na mali yan before. Pero ngayon, of course, meron na. Marami na. Okay, din sobra-sobra pa, di ba? Then, retribution was the resolution for criminal matters. Pag sinabi retribution, ibig sabihin, yung sa harsh punishment. So whatever crimes you committed, yun rin yung punishment mo. Kapag nang-rape ka, puputulan ka ng ari. So that is under the golden age. Okay? So again, sa golden age, yung sinusunod natin doon is the tribal law. Then the victims played an important role. Ibig sabihin, sila mismo yung nagbibigay ng direct punishment to the violators or to the offenders. Kasi nga, of course, that is wala pang existing laws before. Then we have retribution was the resolution for criminal acts. Whatever your crimes committed, yun yung magiging punishment. Sorry. Magiging consequence class. Okay? Dapat harapin mo yung consequence mo. That is under the golden age or during the golden age. Then we have the dark age. Okay? Sa dark age naman, it is resulted from emergence of structured local governments. Okay? Emergence, ibig sabihin, there are progress na, okay, unti-unti nang nag-create or nag-structure ng governments and development of legal statutes. Ibig sabihin, nagkakaroon na tayo class ng formal lobbying of laws. Okay, kasi of course, there is a local government na. So, offenses were viewed as perpetrated against the laws of the king or state. Okay? Against the king or state before class. On the dark age, ibig sabihin, magsasabi or sasabihin na mali yan kapag yung action mo is against the law or against the laws of the state or the king. Okay, kasi di ba king dati? Not just against the victims or the victim's family. So, ibig sabihin nun, whatever crimes you committed, it is not only against the family or the victim's family, but pinakamalaking kasalanan yan sa king or sa state kung saan ka na-belong. Then it focus shifted towards the offender punishment and rights as opposed to victim rights and restoration. So again, that is under the dark age. Then under the re-emergence of the victim, realization that victim were, of course, source of information about crime and criminal. So the study of victims lead to the birth of victimology. So wait lang class. Hindi ko na nakita. Lead to the birth of the traditional victimology as discrete scientific endeavor. Okay, so yung tinatawag natin na re-emergence of the victim. So of course, nakafocus na ngayon sa tinatawag natin na crime and criminal kasi palaging na-overlook or palaging napapabayaan yung tinatawag natin na victims' rights. Okay, so that's why re-emergence of the victims, ibig sabihin, dito sa re-emergence of the victim, binibigyan na or medyo na bigyan na ng importance yung mga victims of the crime. So studying victims led to the birth of traditional victimology para malaman natin yung extent, para malaman natin yung nature, and para malaman natin kung bakit nagiging biktima yung tao na to ng particular crime or offenses. Of course, it is a discrete scientific endeavor. So ang approach to study criminality or to study why a particular person is a victim of crime is kinagamitan na tayo ng scientific method or research. Okay, so yan. Again, ulitin natin yung 3 distinct historical eras defining the victim's role ni Jerin and Moriarty in 1998. Of course, in the Golden Age class, there is a tribal law na nagpe-prevail. Ibig sabihin, yung biktima, siya yung mismo magsasabi kung ano yung pagiging punishment mo. Pwede kayang patayin kung gusto niya. Okay? Then of course, retribution, kung ano yung crime na nakomit mo, yun rin yung extent ng ibibigay sa'yo na punishment. Okay, then of course, the Dark Age, parang ibabalik na sa class. Under the Dark Age naman, of course, nagkaroon na ng legal statutes or structuring of local governments, yung mga statutes or mga laws. And then, kapag nagkasala ka, ibig sabihin, hindi mo lang kalaban o hindi ka lang nagkasala sa biktima, hindi ka lang nagkasala sa pamilya ng biktima as well as sa laws or sa batas ng king or the state. Then, sa re-emergence of the victims, ito yung time class na nagkaroon na ng importance or binibigyan na ng importance yung biktima natin. Then nagkakaroon ng further study on the part of yung tinatawag natin na experts in victimology. So ayan, nakuha na ninyo. So again, we have the golden age, the dark age, and the re-emergence of the victim. Nakuha na class? Nasundan ninyo? Nasundan ba? Okay. Okay, so let's proceed sa next slide. Okay, dito tayo class. We have the typology of victims. Okay, ang typology of victims or types of victims. Okay, of course, kay Mendelssohn's typology of victim. That is according kay Mendelssohn. So we have the innocent victim. Ang innocent victim, someone who did not contribute to the victimization and is wrong place at the wrong time. Say, innocent victim class, ibig sabihin, wala talaga siyang hindi siya talaga aware na magiging part siya or magiging biktima siya class. That's why it is an innocent victim. Okay, does not, okay, or did not contribute to the victimization. Tandaan niyo lang ha, pag sinabi natin innocent victim, okay, someone who did not contribute to the victimization. The victim with minor guilt. So yung victim with minor guilt does not actively participate in their victimization but contributes to it in some minor degree. Ibig sabihin, class, kung titingnan natin sa innocent victim, wala talaga. Dito sa victim with minor guilt, hindi siya nag-participate or he does not actively participate in the victimization, but on some extent, there is a minor degree of participation or degree of kumbaga probability na masasabi natin na meron din siyang kasalanan kahit konti lang such as frequenting high crime areas. Halimbawa, pumunta siya palagi or doon siya nagsistay sa tinatawag natin na crime-prone areas or yung palaging doon, halimbawa, palaging nagkaroon doon ng patayan, nagkaroon doon ng mga rape cases. So, the victim with minor guilt, ang tawag natin doon. Okay, does not actively participate in the victimization, but contributes to it in some minor degree. Okay, such frequenting high crime areas. Okay, the victim with minor guilt, ang tawag natin dyan. Okay, then we have the guilty victim, the guilty offender. So, the guilty victim class and the guilty offender, yung victim and offender may have engaged in criminal activity together. Okay? So yan yung the guilty victim and the guilty offender. So baka sila yung nagplano pero ang naging biktima or on the execution of the act, okay, nagbaliktad na yung isa. So that's why the guilty offender, the guilty victim. Okay, so that's why victim and offender may have engaged in criminal activity together. So, meron tayong tinatawag class sa victimology as the penal couple. Okay? Sino yung tinatawag natin na penal couple in the study of victimology? Sino yung tinatawag natin class na penal couple in the study of victimology? Sige nga, sagutin ninyo. Sorry. Okay, so very good. So of course class, ang ating penal couple, okay, of course the victim and the offender, okay, or the perpetrator or the offender. Yang tinatawag natin na the victim and the offender or the perpetrator, sila yung tinatawag natin class na penal couple. Ibig sabihin kung walang biktima, kung walang offender or perpetrator. Then we have the guilty offender and the guiltier victim. Tandaan nyo the guilty offender and the guiltier victim. So dito class, the victim may have been the primary attacker. Tandaan nyo, the victim may have been the primary attacker. Ibig sabihin siya yung nag-initiate or siya yung nag-initiate ng attack. But the offender won the fight. Okay? The guilty victim instigated. Ibig sabihin siya yung nag-induce or ano ba, okay, ganito. Bibigyan kita ng ganitong halaga or sige nga, suntukin mo ako. Kapag ganito, ito yung usapan natin kapag manalo ako. So, a conflict but is killed in self-defense. Tandaan nyo, ito class, guilty victim, the victim instigated a conflict but is killed in self-defense. Okay, ibig sabihin, okay, sige pre, ano yun ako, yung tinatawag natin, sige magsuntukan tayo. Okay, nagsuntukan kayo. Ikaw yung nag-induce ikaw yung nag-instigate. Ibig sabihin, ikaw nagsimula. Tapos, nung pinatulan kanya, okay, nung pinatulan kanya class, okay, tapos nung sinuntukan niya, after that, sinuntok mo siya or pinagsasaksak mo siya. Kasi again, sabi mo self-defense lang. Okay? Pero ikaw yung namatay. Okay? Kaya that's why, ang tawag natin doon, the guilty offender, the guiltier victim. Ibig sabihin, the victim instigated a fight or a conflict but is killed in self-defense. Okay? So of course, an example would be an abused woman killing her partner while he is abusing her. Okay? An example would be an abused woman killing her partner while he is abusing her. Ibig sabihin, yung sa tinatawag natin na battered woman syndrome, di ba? Nagkaroon tayo ng battered woman syndrome. Kapag mapatay mo yung partner mo, following those syndrome that is exempted, di ba? Or sa self-defense or justifiable yan. So imaginary victims, some people pretend to be victims and are not. This would be someone falsing or falsifying reports na tawag natin. Again, sa guilty offender, guiltier victim, ibig sabihin, the victim is the one who initiate or the one who instigate the crime or the conflict, but then again, namatay siya in a self-defense. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, nung pinatulan siya, mas lalong siya pa yung napahamak. So, the guiltier offender or the guilty offender, the guiltier victim. Okay? So, I hope nakuha niyo yung gist natin dyan. Sige nga, pakibasa ulit. Sino nga? Si Berto Dazo. Berto Dazo. Berto Dazo, nandyan ka ba? Wala si Berto Dazo. Bakit? Next. How about Stephen? Stephen, pakibasa nga nito ulit.
The guilty victim or guilty offender. Victim and offender may have engaged in criminal activity together. The guilty offender, guiltier victim. The victim may have been the primary attacker, but the offender won the fight. Guilty victim. The victim instigate the conflict, but is killed in self-defense. An example would be an abused woman killing her partner while he is abusing her. Imaginary victim. Some people pretend to be victims and are not. This would be someone falsify reports.
So yun class, the guilty victim, the guiltier offender or the guilty offender, the guilty offender, and the guiltier victim. Okay, so yun yung dalawa natin na important rin. Then of course, we have the next slide. Dito tayo. Okay, so we have kung kanina merong Mendelssohn, dito naman kay Von Hentigs, typology of victims. Again, kay Von Hentigs naman, we have the young people. So ang young people, of course, they are immature. Okay, under adult supervision or under the guidance of the parents, lack of physical strength and lack of mental emotional maturity to recognize victimization. Of course, class, kapag young people, di ba? Hindi nila alam or hindi nila ma-observe or hindi nila ma-imagine na they are kumbaga in difficult or yung tinatawag natin na serious situation na kumbaga napapahamak na sila. So of course they are innocent or they're kailangan ng adult supervision, wala silang lack of physical strength. Ibig sabihin, wala silang kalaban-laban kapag naging biktima sila class. Then of course, lack of mental and emotional maturity. Of course, unlike sa atin, di ba? So na kapag may alam natin na nafe-feel natin na merong paparating na attack, no? Yung tao na yan medyo hindi siya dapat pagkatiwalaan. So that is what we call na meron tayong instinct or alam na natin na there is there's something wrong. Kaya pwede na yung or pwede tayong maka-exit agad-agad. So that is what we call ang kaibahan sa young people. Okay? They are immature, they have the lack of mental emotional maturity to recognize the victimization. Hindi nila ma-recognize na nagiging biktima na pala sila or victim to be yung tinatawag na young people. Then we have the females or elderly. Sa females and elderly naman, of course, they have the lack of physical strength. Kaya tingnan ninyo kapag sinabi natin na if we compared yung tinatawag natin class, yung if we compares yung strength or yung physical stamina ng babae sa lalaki, of course, masyadong malayo, di ba? Kaya that's why they should be protected. So yun yung lack of physical strength, mentally ill, and intellectually disabled can be taken advantage of easily. Okay, kapag elderly naman, of course, they are lalong-lalo na kapag masyadong mahina na, they can be taken, of course, easily. Of course, may mga females naman kapag nasa, ano yun but still class, if we compare yung tinatawag natin na physical strength and stamina, masyadong malayo. Halimbawa, lalo na yung attacker niya is lalaki. So that is females or elderly victims. Then we have immigrants. Okay, ang immigrants class, of course, they cannot understand the language. Okay, kapag immigrants ka, kapag dayo ka dyan sa isang lugar or sa isang bansa, of course, there is a language barrier. You cannot understand the language or threat of deportation. Pwede kang makadeport, pabalikin sa lugar ninyo or sa bansa ninyo, or makes them vulnerable minorities or marginalized in society. So vulnerable to victimization. So immigrants yan class. Kasi they should be bullied or they will be taken advantage kasi of course, hindi mo kabisado yung kanilang language in that particular Then problema pa kapag hindi sila marunong mag-English, di ba? So on some part of the world, they're not practicing yung English talaga classes, their second university, their language. Okay, unlike sa Pilipinas, okay, we can speak English, di ba? Or we can spoke or we can actually master pa, di ba? So yun class, there is a language barrier. And of course, there is a threat of deportation. So immigrants, kapag hindi ka talaga hindi ka talaga lumaki or you are a foreigner or foreign to that country, so there is a bigger chance of deportation na pabalikin ka sa lugar mo kung saan ka nanggaling. Okay, then of course, you will be a victim. Then we have reasonably intelligent people. Okay, yung reasonably intelligent people who are naive or vulnerable in some way, okay, then of course they will be easily deceived, yung tinatawag natin na reasonably intelligent person. Okay, so yeah, again, ulitin natin. We have the young people. So ang young people class, of course, they are immature or under kailangan ng supervision from the parents. Then they have a lack of physical strength, lack of mental maturity or emotional maturity to recognize or to be able to recognize class yung there is a victimization na paparating or they are already a victim of a particular crime. While the females or the elderly, there is a lack of physical strength and mental stamina, and they can be taken advantage easily. While the immigrants, of course, they cannot understand the language or threat of deportation that makes them vulnerable minorities or marginalized in society. Then we have reasonably intelligent person, their name, or masyado silang matalino, hindi na nila malaman yung contact or what is the reality in some way. So these people are easily deceived. Okay, so that is under or according sa kay Von Hentig's typology of victims. Okay, so I hope it's clear. Okay, dito tayo class on the next slide. Then of course, we have the depressed. Okay, ang depressed naman, okay, gullible, okay, easily swayed, and not vigilant kasi they are experiencing trauma, Okay, so they are depressed, frustration, stress. Okay, then the acquisitive. Ang acquisitive naman, they are greedy. Okay, greedy. Balik muna tayo. Okay, yung acquisitive naman, they are greedy and can be targeted to scammers. Again, yan yung tinatawag natin na acquisitive, who would take advantage of their desire for financial gain. Okay, acquisitive. You want to acquire something or you want to get something. Okay, so para ma-take advantage yun. Then the lonesome and the broken-hearted. Baka dito papasok si Che. Okay, so the types of victim. The lonesome and broken-hearted. So they're prone to victimization class by intimate partners. So they decide to be with someone at any cost. Okay, they are susceptible to manipulation. So ayan. 'Di ba? Baka their manipulation they can be easily manipulated. So magiging biktima sila, 'di ba? So yan yung tinatawag na broken hearted and the lonesome. Then we have the tormentors. Okay, ang tormentors primary abuser in a relationship and become victims when the one being abused turns on them. Okay? Yan yung primary abusers okay, so yan yung tormentors. Ibig sabihin balikan sila. Then we have the blocked, exempted, and fighting victims. So enter a situation in which they're taken advantage, such as blackmail. Okay, so yan yung tinatawag natin. Worse, kapag na-blackmail ka, meron silang gagamitin laban sa iyo. But of course, dapat alam mo kung paano ka makalabas dyan. Di ba? So blocked, exempted, and fighting victims. Okay. Sige, basahin mo nga ulit si sino yung magbabasa? Si Rang. Sino si Rang? Rang? Nandiyan ka ba, Rang? Wala? Okay. Si Christopher Somoso. Christopher? Nandiyan ba? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sige. Okay,
The
pakibasa.
depressed, but easily swayed and not vigilant. The acquisitive be targeted for scammers who would take advantage of their desire for financial gain. The loneliness or the lonesome and brokenhearted, often prone to victimization by intimate partners. They desire to be with someone at any cost. They are susceptible to manipulation. Tormentors, primary abusers in a relationship and become victims when the one being abused turns turns on them. Block, exempted, and fighting victims, in which they are taken advantage as blackmail.
So thank you. So yan. So let's proceed sa next slide naman. Okay, so meron tayong tinatawag class na victims precipitation. Okay. So dito tayo class sa victims precipitation. Bakit hindi makita? Okay, dito. So we have the passive precipitation and the active precipitation. So ang passive precipitation class, it occurs when the victim exhibits some personal characteristics that unknowingly threatens or encourages the attackers. So ibig sabihin, halimbawa, yung babae. So unconsciously, okay, or unknowingly, nag-exhibit siya ng personal characteristic na pwede siyang magiging biktima. Okay, magiging subject for attacker. Ibig sabihin, baka sa suot niya, okay? So passive kumbaga hindi niya namamalayan na yun pala yung nakaka-attract sa mga tinatawag natin na offender or yung mga attacker. So that is passive precipitation. Ibig sabihin, kasi pag sinabi natin victim precipitation class, the victim sometimes initiate the actions which lead them to their harm or loss. Okay, ibig sabihin, sinabi ng victim precipitation class, okay, hindi, wag niyo okay bash okay. Of course, nakalagay dyan eh. So pag sinabi natin victim precipitation, so sinasabi nila, di ba, sa huwag kayong maniwala doon sa sinabi na kapag maiksi daw yung damit mo, magiging victim ka ng rape. Okay, hindi yan totoo. Okay, kung walang rape, kapag walang rapist, di ba? Okay, so yung iba naman, ano nila, sinisisi nila kasi daw yung biktima daw yung nag-initiate ng action kung bakit nagiging biktima sila ng rape or any other crimes. So again, ang victim precipitation, tinitingnan dito class that sometimes the victims initiate the actions kaya, sorry, nagkakaroon ng harm or that would lead to loss or harm. So that is what we call the victim precipitation. So ang passive, ibig sabihin, yung biktima unknowingly, hindi niya alam na yung mga actions niya pala or yung mga personal characteristics niya na in-exhibits, unknowingly it threatens or kumbaga, ano siya, kumbaga prone siya sa mga mata ng mga attacker natin or offender. So that is the passive precipitation. Then we have the active precipitation naman. Ang active precipitation, the situation in which the victim directly provokes, okay, the offender. Ibig sabihin class, dito kanina sa passive, unknowingly, okay, unknowingly threatens the attacker. While the active naman, okay, so yung biktima natin, directly provokes class, yung tinatawag natin na offender. Then, of course, yung provocation na yon that can range from insult to physical injuries. Ibig sabihin, siya yung directly nag-initiate, active, okay, agad-agad. So that's why it will result to physical assault. Okay? So bakit naging ano siya? So minsan, di ba, yung iba kapag, ano yan, kapag lasing, tapos hinalik-halikan niya yung babae, ay yung lalaki, pinatulan na lang, okay? So that's why there is a crime talaga na mangyayari. So that is active precipitation. Yung passive naman, unknowingly. Okay, ibig sabihin, hindi mo na malayan yung mga actions mo pala, it encourages or it threatens yung tinatawag natin na attacker or abuser. So that is passive and active precipitation. Okay, nakuha ninyo? Sige, pakibasa nga ulit si after ni Christopher, si Clench Somoso. Ay, Christopher Sara. Tama ba? Ay, hindi. Clench Baldoviso rather. Ay, sira pala mic ni Clench, tama. Okay, how about si ano na lang, si Jongjong. Pakibasa Jongjong.
Passive precipitation occurs when the characteristics that unknowingly threatens or encourage the attacker. So active precipitation refers to those situations in which the victim directly provokes the offender. This provocation can range from insult to physical assault.
Okay, so yan. Thank you. So yan yung tinatawag natin class na victim precipitation. Again, pag sinabi natin precipitation, of course, it is a theory that assert that sometimes yung biktima nag-i-initiate ng actions that lead them to become a victim or a crime. Of course, there is a harm or loss on the part of the victim. That is victim precipitation. Then, okay, very important rin yung tinatawag natin na victim blaming. Okay, so ang victim blaming, so na-remember nyo ba class yung flight attendant na ano yun, yung flight attendant class, then nagkaroon ng ano doon, yung taga General Santos City, yung flight attendant ng Philippine Airlines, yung sa PAL, di ba nagkaroon ng victim blaming doon? Kasi nakita doon sa CCTV na hinahalikan niya yung mga lalaki, yung mga ano doon. So, sino ngayon? Anong pangalan nga nung basta taga Jensen siya. Yung binalita pala sa ano dati, so, yung sa Philippine Airlines class, yung namatay. Then, of course, na-meet ko rin yung mga investigators that time class sa Baguio kasi pumunta sila that time doon kay Dr. Peckley kasi mga students rin niya eh. So, alam ko talaga yung investigation or the story behind yung kay Dacera ba? Christine Dacera. Tama, kay Dacera case o Dacera case. Yun class. Nagkaroon daw ng victim blaming kasi daw kahit ano 'di ba? Bakit daw siya lang isang babae doon sa ano sa ano yon sa scenario na yon, 'di ba? Nagkaroon ng victim blaming doon. Kumaga hindi daw siya namatay or baka 'di ba sinabi nila hindi daw siya na rape. kung hindi siya pumunta doon sa na mag-isa. But of course, hanggang ngayon, di ko alam kung ano pa yung development sa kaso niya. So, ang victim blaming, so mangyayari in class when it is assumed, okay, tandaan nyo, when it is assumed that an individual did something to provoke the violence by actions, okay, sa pinapakita niyang actions, sa words, okay, sa mga salita niya, and the way siya manamit. Yan yung tinatawag natin na victim blaming. So meaning, many people would rather believe that someone caused their own misfortune. Ibig sabihin sila mismo yung nag-create ng destiny nila, okay, ng problema within themselves. So yan yung tinatawag natin na victim blaming. So because it makes the world seem a safer place. Kaya di ba class, yung victim blaming, yan dapat yung hindi pwedeng ipagpatuloy or hindi magandang ugali ng mga Pilipino or ng mga Pinoy. Kasi kapag may mga biktima, ay, siya naman pala yung may kasalanan kasi na-rape siya, ganito siya manamit. No, di ba? That is only a theory. Okay, ang victim blaming, of course, pinaka-safe kasi yun na nasabihin na siya yung may kasalanan para walang masisisi, no? But again, ang victim blaming, of course, it is assumed that an individual the one to provoke yung violence to their actions, to their words, or to their rest. Okay, pero of course, hindi yan basihan class. Okay, ibig sabihin that someone, okay, creates his or her own misfortune. Okay, so yan, ang victim blaming. Okay. Then after under the victim blaming, we have the just world hypothesis. Okay, sa just world hypothesis class, okay, sa just world hypothesis, okay, the world hypothesis that is based on an individual's belief that the world is a safe, just place where people get what they deserve. Sa just world hypothesis, ibig sabihin, di ba? The place or the world is safe and is a fair. Okay, ibig sabihin, you get what you saw. Okay, di ba? So yan yung tinatawag natin the just world hypothesis. Okay, so makukuha mo what you deserve. Kung ano yung tinanim mo, yun rin yung makukuha mo. So kung ano yung mga actions mo, of course, dapat ready ka whatever the consequences of your actions. That is just world hypothesis. Then we have the attribution error. Ang attribution error, of course, individuals make internal attributions. Internal, okay, when they recognize that when a person's personal characteristics are the cause of actions or situation. While the external exhibitions naman have individuals identify the environment and circumstances as the cause of the person's behavior. Internal, ibig sabihin, within yourself. Yung emotion mo, yung attribute mo, while external, yung surroundings mo, class, your environment na nakakontribute sa your behavior. That is attribution behavior or error. Then we have invulnerability theory. It claims that those who subscribe to the theory blame victims as the means to protect their own feelings of invulnerability. So yan yung tinatawag na invulnerability theory. Always they tend to blame the victims kung ano nangyari sa mga biktima class para mapangalagaan na they are not vulnerable, they are not susceptible, or they are not prone to attack. So the invulnerability theory is based on the blaming the victim in order to feel themselves or to make themselves feel, okay, yung tinatawag natin na kumaga unahin nila yung sarili nila or parang yan siya, parang gaslighting na tinatawag natin, invulnerability or invulnerability theory. Okay, so ibig sabihin, isisisi nila lahat sa biktima para ma-feel niya sa sarili niya within themselves na wala silang kasalanan or they are superior, they feel safe. Yan yung tinatawag na invulnerability theory. Okay? So yan. Sige nga, pakibasa ng victim blaming hanggang number 3 before tayo pumunta sa ibang section. Okay? Jamaica? Jamaica? Nandyan ba? Wala. Si Jamaica. How about Hana Binuya?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sige, pakibasa ng victim blaming.
Victim blaming occurs when it assumes that an individual did something to provoke the violence by actions, words, or dress. Many people would rather cause their own misfortune because it makes the world seem a safer place. One just world hypothesis. The just world hypothesis is based on an individual's belief that the world is a safe, just place where people get what they deserve. Two, attribution error. Individuals make internal attributions when they recognize that a person's personal characteristics are the cause of their actions or situation. External attributions, however, identify the environment and circumstances as the cause for a person's behavior. Three, invulnerability theory claims that those who subscribe to the theory blame victims as a means to protect their own feelings of invulnerability. The invulnerability theory is based on sus- subscribers blaming the victim in order to feel safe themselves.
So yan yung tinatawag natin class na victim blaming, just world hypothesis, attribution error, and invulnerability theory. Okay, next tayo. So dito tayo class sa violent crimes in which victims are blamed. Again, violent crimes in which victims are blamed. Of course, we have number one, violence against women. Of course, violence against women, male offenders often use external attribution to justify their abusive behavior. Again, of course, external attributions. Okay, so they may blame their partner or claim that they deserve the abuse because of their offensive personality. Okay, so yan yung violence against women. But of course, there is a law. Hindi yung article or the Public Act 262, di ba? Napanood niyo yung pinost ko na video. Okay. So ayan. So baka hindi na take to or hindi alam ni Direk or hindi yung actor na police hindi niya alam no yung sinasabi niya or they are not hindi nag-research. So we have the sexual assault. Of course, ang sexual assault, adult female victims of sexual assault are often blamed for being provocative, seductive, okay, suggestive, teasing or asking for it. Ibig sabihin, parang siya nag-i-initiate, nag-ano siya kaya pinatulan ko na. So, yan yung sexual assault palagi. But of course, that is wrong. Okay, they are often blamed for being provocative. Hindi ibig sabihin na kinindatan ka niya, ibig sabihin may ibang may ibang meaning. Or sa damit niya, yung itsura niya is very seductive. Okay, suggestive or teasing. So hindi yun siya basehan class para maging subject sila for sexual assault. Okay, that is lead number 2. Then number 3, sex trade workers. Ang sex trade workers naman, of course, yung stigma. Okay, so the idea that women labeled as worse, somehow disputable or less human, got what they deserve, or yung mga prostitute na tinatawag natin class. Okay, yung mga sex trade workers. So, di ba, tandaan niyo kapag tinanong are prostitute become a victim of rape, of course they are still. Okay, kasi divorce, they are still women. So that they are, of course, they are labeled, of course, in exchange of money or in exchange of profit. Okay, nagbibigay sila ng aliw. But of course, class, still dapat i-respect. Of course, there is a respect, di ba? Sabi nila, they get what they deserve. But of course, hindi yan maganda. Of course, victims are blamed. Okay? Wala naman silang choice kung bakit nila pinasok yan. Of course, hindi natin alam kung ano yung story behind that. Then we have the homicide. Okay, losing a loved one through an act of violence can be devastating for a family. Okay, the worst, no one can ever be prepared for such loss, and no amount of counseling, prayer, justice, bring a loved one back. Of course, hindi mo yan mababalik kahit anong comfort, kahit anong gawin mo. So, homicidal. Okay, those are the violent crimes in which victims are blamed. Ibig sabihin, imbis na sila yung naging biktima, parang sa tingin or sa mata ng iba, they are the offender. So that is yan. Okay, so victim violent crimes. Then okay, bakit bumalik? Okay, then of course, we have the victimless crimes. Ang victimless crimes naman na class, of course, there's no complaining party or there's no complaining victim. Ibig sabihin, okay, there's tend to have no complaining parties other than the police because the immediate participant in these crimes do not see themselves as victims, have no desire to complain to the police, and would fear criminal liability if they complain. Okay, of course, example ng mga victimless crimes, of course, the classical one, very good Stephen, that is the prostitution. Okay? So, the complaintless crime. Tinawag rin natin ang complaintless crime, ang victimless crime. Then we have the victim-offender relationship. Tandaan nyo, we have the victim-offender relationship. More than 90% of rape and sexual assault victims know their attacker. Tandaan nyo pwedeng kaibigan yan, pwedeng member of the family or kapitbahay, and so on. So researchers from Glasgow University said it was a popular misconception that the most attackers were strangers. Of course, pwedeng kaharap ng bahay nyo yan or palagi or sinasakyan mo kung saan ka nagko-commute. So there is a victim and offender relationship kasi again, 90% of rape and sexual assault victims know their attacker. Ibig sabihin, alam nila kung sino yung gumawa sa nila na gano'n. Okay, so then we have the victim vulnerability and risk. Okay, so dito sa victim vulnerability and risk, we have the availability. It refers to the victim's accessibility to the offender. Ibig sabihin, hindi siya mahirapan class kasi easily accessible. Then we have the location. It refers to the victim's particular locality kung saan siya situated in contrast to the offenders. It is a function of both offender victim activities and schedules. Ibig sabihin na nagtutugma. So, ibig sabihin yung location. Then we have the vulnerability, of course, how susceptible, how weak class a particular victim is to their method of attack and approach. Ay, ito pala yung kaniyang ito pala yung kahinaan niya. So, dito natin siya titirahin. So, that is vulnerability. Then, number 4, we have the relationships, of course. It refers to the victims who are selected by virtue of being in a relationship with the offender or maybe it is a personal relationship or professionally. Okay, sa trabaho ninyo or mag-jowa, girlfriend, boyfriend kayo or mag-partner kayo. Then, meron tayong tinatawag na fantasy criteria. It refers to the victims who are selected by virtue of having traits that a particular offender views as desirable or necessary for the satisfaction of a particular fantasy. Okay, the nature of those desirable, necessary traits will be manifested in victimology, the offender's signature behavior. Alam ba, yung babae na napapanood niya sa porn, okay, napapanood niya sa mga ganong site. Then, kapag it is projected, kapag nakita niya sa personal, ay parang kamukha niya or parang pareha sila ng hubog ng katawan. So this is the fantasy criteria class. Okay, so the particular offenders views yung certain people or certain person that is desirable, okay, to satisfy their lust or satisfy their fantasy. Okay, so kumbaga yung fantasy niya nagiging or meron ng katuparan kumbaga. So that is a fantasy criteria. Nakuha? Okay, so that is the victim vulnerability and risk. Okay, dito tayo class, the rights of the victims in criminal justice system. Of course, in 1985, the United Nations adopted the Declaration of Basic Principles of Justice for Victims of Crime and Abuse of Power, which outlines the international best practices for treatment of crime victims. Kasi of course, kung titingnan niyo sa Pilipinas, there are only few na mga victims' rights. But of course, kung hindi kayang ibigayan ng state or ng bansa, there are international statutes or international limitations na magsasabi na kailangan pangalagaan yung rights ng biktima natin or the rights of the victims in a criminal justice system as labeled or as labeled by United Nations Declaration on the Basic Principles for the Treatment of Crime Victims. Of course, number 1 dyan class, the rights to be recognized and treated equally before the law. Of course, that is under the United Nations Declaration. Second, a right of non-discrimination. Dapat hindi subject for discrimination ang mga offender ay mga victim ng crime, lalo na sa crime of rape. Third, the rights to a remedy and to access to justice. Ibig sabihin, dapat lahat meron siyang, pwede siyang bigyan na rin siya ng sapat na suporta to access for justice. Then fourth, due process rights. Ibig sabihin, dapat from the resolution or for filing the case until the dissolution or resolution of the case, dapat nandun or merong due process of law. Okay, then of course, the other important rights of the victim class. Number one, the right to be reasonably protected from the accused. Dapat there is an equal or there is an enough protection from the accused. So, kung pwede, kapag sa nila, baka balikan ng pamilya yung biktima. So dapat merong pulis yan or merong appropriate security. The second, the right to reasonable, accurate, and timely notice of any public court proceeding or any parole proceeding involving the crime or of any release or escape of the accused. Third, the right not to be excluded from any such public court proceeding unless the court, after receiving clear and convincing evidence, determines that the testimony by the victim would have been material and victim here and other testimony at the proceed. Of course, dapat presently nandyan siya during the dissolution of the case or the resolution of the case. Hindi pwedeng i-exclude, dapat nandyan palagi yung biktima. Of course, very important na, lalo na sa plea bargaining agreements. Then fourth, the right, of course, any proceeding reasonably heard at any proceeding to be released, yung plea, sentencing, or any parole proceeding. The reasonable right to confer with the attorney for the government in the case of first class kapag kailangan niya ng abogado, kailangan bibigyan siya ng estado. Then six, the right to full and timely restitution as provided in the law. Whatever damages, dapat maibigay yan sa kanya. Number seven, the right to proceedings free from unreasonable delay. Dapat within the allotted time or yung trial period, dapat makapagbigay siya agad-agad ng tinatawag natin na justice or na verdict or judgment. Eight, the right to be treated with fairness and with respect for the victim's dignity. Okay, yan yung mga particular rights class. Very self-understandable. So we have the victimization of offenders in criminal justice system. Okay, very important to class. So we have the peer victimization. It is experienced among children of being a target of aggressive behavior of other children. Okay, nakipaglaro, no? Pero nagiging yung isa aggressive kasi iba yung treatment or iba yung approach or iba yung discipline sa bahay nila, or not siblings and not necessarily aged mates. So lalo na yung ganitong kalaki tapos i-attack ng medyo matanda na. Then we have the secondary victimization. It is also known as the post-crime victimization or double victimization. It refers to the fact that the further victim blaming from criminal justice system authorities following a report of an original victimization. Ibig sabihin, there is a victim blaming from the authorities or from the law enforcement organization. Secondary victimization then. Then of course, we have the vulnerability. Of course, tandaan nyo lang sa vulnerability, of course, how weak, how susceptible, di ba? Yung tinatawag natin na vulnerability. So when the institution or criminal justice system personnel fail to support the victimized individual. Okay, so yan yung there is a vulnerability class on the sides or on the side of the local or the criminal justice authorities. Okay, so yun class yung pinaka-importante or basic pagdating natin sa victimology. So bukas, we will discuss or we will move on sa dispute resolution and crisis incident management. Of course, isa rin to sa natin. Okay, of course ito yung tinuturo ko talaga. Okay, mostly okay nung na. So bukas, we will start dito sa dispute resolution and incident management. Then after ng dispute, pupunta tayo sa research. Okay, so titingnan natin kung baka bukas matapos natin ang dispute sa morning kung kakayanin kasi medyo madami kasi sa dispute class or baka bukas dispute tayo hanggang hapon. Then pwede tayo mag-klase sa Saturday kung titingnan ko lang para matapos ang research. Okay, so ayan. Stop share ko muna. So bukas dispute tayo. Okay, thank you for joining our discussion this after. Okay, so yan. Wait lang, i-stop share ay ang recording.